Hi everyone, it's Justin here, Voices for Voices. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of the show. Whether you're watching, listening here in the United States or in one of the 115 countries across the world, we're grateful to have you here. Whether this is your first show you're tuning into, you're in for a treat, or if you've been with us from the beginning, we're very grateful. If you can do us some easy, quick free things, give us some thumbs up, like, follow, subscribe, share, reshare, repost, and even maybe reach out. I think because I got the background here, hold my phone up. If you can reach out to maybe 25 of your contacts and just share the Voices for Voices podcast with your contacts. I know you won't be disappointed or your contacts. Um, I am very excited for this particular episode. I've uh, not just myself, but our organization. We're trying to reach people, humans across all backgrounds, all age ranges, everything, and define I'll say up and coming, but an up and coming motivational speaker on mental health, 20 years old, has his own show, is speaking at every chance he gets, and it's tough to find people at that age to want to share and talk. Sometimes it's shame and the stigma and all those types of things, which I'm sure our guests will get into. But just wanted to give my thanks for him switching his schedule. We were conversing back and forth, and just so happened I was like, yeah, let's the sooner the better. Like this is great. Let's do it. So without further ado, I want to introduce our guest for this show, Mr. Lawrence C. Harris. Lawrence, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I just
You
realized my
bet.
microphone connected, so let me get the good sound.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Uh, so I guess maybe we'll just start out. What made you wanna do work in the mental health space? It's a lot of people doing a lot of great things, uh, but everybody has a different story. So I'm just curious, for our listeners, our viewers, wherever they may be finding us, to find out like how mental health like even found its place in your life.
Well, the reason why I got into it was because I figured out what worked for me and decided I'm going to put it out there and try to help other people. Growing up, I experienced a lot of severe bullying, childhood abuse, living with autism, and all of these things just stacked on top of one another led me to some really dark mental health spaces where I was pushing people away. I was 16-hour screen times,
Oh.
not sleeping, barely eating, acne. It was like room was filthy, didn't want to let people help me. I was just taking my anger out on people who had nothing to do with it. Now, at the age of 15, I was able to start seeing progress in my own life, thanks to therapy and journaling and honestly getting to a point where I was like, I can't keep living like this. I have to figure something out to get better. So, as I began seeing, like, wait, I was able to clean my bed today. I went outside. Like, things that sound so small but are really so big when I was able to get myself from A to B, even though I knew I wasn't at Z yet, I was like, let me turn around and share, like, hey guys, here's how to be more confident. And I started making TikToks and YouTube videos, and one thing led to another. And I was like, wait, I need to go get this out there to the world even farther. So, you start volunteering at churches, you start
Mm.
volunteering, and you just one thing led to another.
Yeah, and I'm glad you're being so transparent, and I appreciate that because it's a lot of personal things, right? I mean, we're talking about how we're feeling. Same way when I was in kind of my depths of despair in 2017. To your point, get in the shower, doing the small things that some people are like, yeah, like that's just what you do. Like it's no big deal. It's like, yeah, it kind of was a big deal. I brushed my teeth for the first time in a week, or whatever the thing or things are. Uh, I, I I think, by you sharing, it's letting people know and have letting people know that they're not alone, that there's somebody else just like me. We're all unique individuals, and to have somebody just by happenstance stumbling on one of your shows, one of your speeches, one of our shows with you on, and like, wait a minute, like I'm not the only one that's been through that. Um, it's just awesome. So w when you started sharing, I know maybe it's not, maybe it wasn't difficult. I don't know for you, but it's one thing to start doing the things for yourself, but then to share them, like you said, you started doing the TikToks. Was there like uh, any moment that clicked that said, all right, I, I want to help people and I'm gonna do a video on this particular thing or that particular thing? Or was it just more like a natural thing where one day you're just like, all right, let's do this?
Well, it was a combination of both because firstly, I already knew that I'm just naturally a really talkative person. Like, I kid you not, when I graduated high school, my award was most talkative. So I always knew that somehow, some way, I'd find myself making online content about something. I just didn't know what it would be.
Yeah.
The reason that like it clicked, like, okay, I'm going to start taking my problems and putting it on the internet and saying, "Hey guys, so when I was 12, my dad used to beat me and I got really depressed and then he kicked me out the house at 13 and it
Mhm.
really sucked. But here's what I did to get better." The reason why I started doing that was because we have so many speakers and nothing against them who they give
Mhm.
you the generic, believe in yourself. Great advice. You can do it. Great advice. I love that. However, what have you been through? Tell me about when you had to believe in yourself. Tell me about when you felt insecure. Like, I want to see the validity. Like, I don't want to hear about your degree in this. I want to hear about your lived experience. So I gave my lived experience so people could see that, oh, he didn't just wake up like that. He didn't just like one day a light bulb went off and everything became perfect. No, this guy has flaws. This guy went through things. I can relate to him. I can see that we may not have gone through the same thing, but I'm not perfect. He's not perfect. And he's sharing things I can actually do to get better. And because I knew that's what I wanted, I gave that to the world in hopes that, like you said, somebody stumbles onto it and they realize that, oh, I'm not the only one. And because of that, I've had experiences that just would have amazed my younger self. Like a few months back, there was this girl who DM'd me this like really long message about how one of my videos helped her get out of a toxic relationship and she started talking to her family more and she was in foster care because her parents were like addicts or something. So it would just, even though I never went through addiction or foster care or any of that, I'm like, wait, this stuff's really helping people. Or
Mm.
in October of last year, I was speaking at a event for, you ever heard of NAMI?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, for their Philadelphia chapter.
Okay.
And this guy came up after my speech and he started like hugging me and crying and told me he was a veteran from like Korea. Like he was a Korean war vet. And how a lot of the stuff I was talking about, like about journaling and how to manage your thoughts and self-care practices, that was the same stuff his therapist had been telling him. So it's beautiful how everything has developed over time.
Yeah, and that's what I've also found is it doesn't have to be the exact thing that we've been through. It's just finding somebody that's like when we're vulnerable, like when we share things that people like that the people that know and uh, it's hard to explain. I know you know what I'm kind of getting at. Um, when you or I see somebody just being transparent, just like we are, we're just having a conversation, and it doesn't have to be the very specific thing to help somebody. It's just that vulnerability or taking things that are, like you said, really personal and and sometimes people like bottle that up. I remember I had 138 different things back in 2016, 2017 that I felt guilty about or I felt shame about something that I did. Nothing breaking the law or anything like that, but just things that, past relationships and just different things. And I was like, oh my gosh. Um, at first, I didn't know that I could write 138 things in like less than, I mean, it wasn't even like a half hour and I was just rattling them off. And I was like, I'm a bad person. Like, I'm not a good person. Like, n- I I need to figure out what's really going on and really help myself before I can help somebody else. Uh, because you can kind of tell like somebody's got like a swagger about themselves, like they're confident, but they don't, like you said, it doesn't just happen that, overnight, like all of a sudden like I'm just gonna be able to share uh and to like you said, talking about that vet that came up and spoke with you. It's amazing. Uh we talk about mental health. Mental health, just like physical health, there it knows no demographics, no age, no not it it's all of us. All of us have mental health. It just talking about it is like, oh, he's mental, listen to him, he's crazy or um and that's what I was afraid of. And I had a 5-day inpatient stay and I was um diagnosed with major depression, generalized anxiety, among others. And I was like, I don't want to take medication the rest of my life because I had it like in my mind that like that's just what's going to happen. Like, you know how we manifest things in our mind. We
Yeah.
Google things and we're like, oh no, I'm not going to be one of those people. And here I was, and I was one of those people. It was one of the lowest days of my life, but it was one of the highest because it was at that point where I started to go, like you said, like, I don't know if I'm going to be around if I don't do some things different. If I don't ask, if I don't get help, like, I I thought I had all the answers. I thought I could Google all the answers, and I couldn't. And it was at that point where I was just like, I'm a failure. I'm a guy. I shouldn't be crying. I shouldn't have these things that I'm talking about. And I need to just suck it up and move on. And uh and it's a powerful thing when you're able to share and just to be confident in your story and in yourself. And I just want to say thank you. I should have said thank you at the
Okay.
very beginning, but thank you for doing what you're doing because it's not it's not an easy thing to talk about, about sometimes family dynamics and things that are going on and bullying, and these are things that sometimes people they jump on the pile and
Yeah.
go, oh yeah, look at him, look at what he's going through, and like, yeah, oh, I knew it, I knew there had to be something there. And I'm like you, where it's taken me a little bit longer, 24 years longer, but it feels so good. Do you get that good feeling after you've given a speech, after you've done a show? Um, just like I don't know if this helped one person or 1,000 people. What kind of feelings kind of go through your mind, like after that,
Honestly,
those times when you're able to share, and even just like this.
it's like a feeling of deep peace.
Okay.
It's as if I might have only impacted one single person, but that one single person, it genuinely could have prevented them from committing suicide.
You bet.
And you would never know. Like you never know what have a good day will do for the lady at Starbucks. You never know what thank you will do for somebody who holds the door for you. You really never know. So when you put your story out there and you put out, hey, here's what happened to me, here's how I got through it, and here what you can do to navigate, you don't know what that will the impact that will have for not just that one person, but that person's whole family. Like the girl who messaged me, how my video helped her, it didn't just help her. It
Mhm.
helped her brothers and sisters, dads, aunts, uncles. Like it's a whole chain reaction that happens. And the beautiful thing about the internet is people can share your stuff, and now it goes from like it creates its ripple effect.
Mhm.
And what you said earlier about that 138 things of shame, it's really easy for us to get in our own head and
Mhm.
think that I'm such a bad person and I'm so crazy and I'm so this and I'm so that and all these things that we just bottle up and it pours out. But you kind of have to let it pour out and look at it and face it in order for it to stop holding you back. Like I wrote an entire book on the graphic details of my childhood traumas.
Oh.
It's about what I went through with my dad. It's about getting kicked out. It's about how I wasn't such a good partner in my past relationships. It's about how I was distracting myself with 18 hours of video games a day. It's about how I could barely wash up. Like I go into graphic, raw detail. And then the second half of the book is okay, so now that we got through all of that, here's what I did. Because if I didn't tell you what I went through and where I was, then you think that I just got this off ChatGPT. So
That's right.
if you don't mind, I can actually like send you a link where listeners can get that book for free.
Oh, absolutely. I was just gonna ask, and my dog, our dog, she loves joining in. She always knows when there's a show going on.
Understand?
She's like, "Let me in."
Like
But yeah, definitely. Even if you want to share the name of it, like now,
it's called
um,
Made for More Hope, Resilience, and the Strength Within. It's like, so I was clinically diagnosed with complex post traumatic stress disorder when I was 12.
okay.
And I describe in the book, like, what the symptoms actually feel like, how they affect your relationships, how they affect the way you communicate with others, this random wave of paranoia you get out of nowhere,
Mm,
and how by using what I share in the book, you essentially learn to calm down your body so that it stops thinking that you're 12 and it realized that, oh, we're not going to die.
Hmm. Yeah. That's so man, so so true. Uh that whole that yeah, the feeling of like I yeah, I'm dying. I feel like I mean,
Yeah,
I went through that, and it took me so many times going to the emergency room thinking that I was, I got chest pains, I got all these things, and the test would come back, and they're like, "You're not dying, you're fine, and everything."
yeah,
Uh, and it's, oh my gosh, but to actually continue forward and to go, okay, something's just not right. And man, as you know, with NAMI and other organizations you work with, uh, that the whole stigma of uh, oh, there goes my there. We'll just do this. I get my video. So for everybody listening, my dog just did a good
yeah. She probably just
job.
like knocked the camera over.
Yeah, she knocked it over. So I'm just gonna. There we are.
There we go.
So it won't be as fancy, but so all good.
It works.
It works. Yeah, I feel you with that when you said you feel at peace. That was how I felt when I was in the psych ward for the first. I I didn't have my phone. I didn't have obviously I don't everything. You're basically on suicide watch, and so when you're sleeping, every 15 minutes or so, you're being watched, and which is good. And it wasn't until like I think the second day or so, and probably because I was also um, having different therapies. I wasn't eating. I was down 30 pounds. I was feeling like I was allergic to everything except carrots and plain hummus. It was just crazy. And I never had allergies. People do have allergies, but I never had allergies. And so it I was literally learning how to live again. Like, all right, like here's the menu. You can order anything you want. And if something happens to you, you're at the hospital. We literally can take you and we can get, tests done and whatever we need to do. Um, so if you eat a piece of bacon or a pancake or like things that it's like, man, like sounds really good, but I was at home, I wasn't eating hardly anything, and it was just so hard to explain. I was teaching college courses, and I was basically having kind of like mental breakdowns during that. I mean, it was uh and one thing, there's one of my students. He came up after class. They were giving presentations, and it was right before I went into the hospital. And he came up, and when he was giving his presentation, he was visibly nervous, and he was stuttering a lot. And for me, even at that point, I learned it's like, look, like, who am I to judge anybody? Like,
Yeah.
who am I to judge a person, how they're speaking, how they're dressed, uh, anything? Like, I'm not able to do that, and I don't think anybody here on earth is. And so he was telling me this after class, and I literally just started crying, like tears just were coming down my face, and I was just like. I forget what the student's name was. I wish I would have remembered. But I was just I said his name and said, "Don't worry about it. I'm with you. Like I'm going through some similar things myself." And I just remember going, "Oh my gosh." like I really need to get this figured out. I mean, I it was just uh but when I started at the hospital feeling at peace, it felt like I could actually breathe again because I didn't like you were talking about your screens. I didn't have my phone with me. I didn't have things that could take my mind and my brain and take them all over and same thing with sleeping. This I was like not sleeping at all, and it's just remarkable how you and I, two people from different states, different cities, have a lot of similar things uh, in common. Man, so when you share, I'm sure you have a lot of different messages. What are you talked about? Even if you just touch that one person's heart, and that might stop them from taking their life. And that is so true because we don't know. We don't know where that person's at. That person, like you said, they could be ready with a weapon, they could whatever. They could have a plan, they could not have a plan. They might not think they like, oh no, I'm not suicidal. I'm not having suicidal ideation. Um, but as I've found, as you mentioned at the beginning,
Yeah.
pushing people away and doing things, that doesn't seem like somebody that has a plan. But that's exactly like what my therapist and what my psychiatrist were te like those were things like it wasn't like, oh, Justin had a plan and it was all written out and then it was printed out and it had picture. It was none of that. I mean, that's part of it, but the things leading up into that, uh, how does that part make you feel knowing that you're touching people's lives, not just here in the United States, not just in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but all across the world. People that like don't even speak our language, and it's just crazy to think about. How does that make you feel? In
It make
addition,
it made me feel really like both proud of myself and aware that it's not all about me.
mm,
Like something you mentioned earlier is that when you get off the screen, you spend a lot of time just sitting with your own thoughts and your own feelings. You become aware of like the dual nature of how we all are as people. So like I was journaling about this earlier actually. There's a side of me that is like could be called a bit arrogant, where it's like I like attention. Like it's something
mm,
I'm willing to admit. But then there's the other side of me that loves serving humanity. And it makes me aware of the fact that like I can do something that both makes me feel good and something that makes other people feel good. And it's so much deeper than money. It's so much
mm,
deeper than just liking the fact that, people tell me, hey, you're doing a good job. But it's knowing that I get to impact people in a way that very few else things can. And the people who tell me, like, wow, I love this stuff, it helped me with this, that's the minority. Most people will never tell you. They'll
yeah,
just leave a like on the video and not say anything else. But it's beautiful too because 2 days ago, someone who's been like watching my videos for I've been seeing her in like the comments for a few months.
mm,
She told me that my videos have inspired her to become a better mother to her child. And I'm like,
wow,
I didn't even know she had a kid.
yeah,
Like I thought she looked 20. And she was like, no, my kid's 5. Like, okay. So it's not just inspiring like individuals, but it's helping families. It's helping people to genuinely make improvement in their life. It's helping them to become people that they didn't even think was possible. And I get to remind them that, yeah, Lawrence isn't anything special. I'm just a guy who likes talking to a camera all day, figured out some stuff that works, and I talk to the camera about what works.
Yeah. No, that's so oh my gosh. It's so true. And for some people, including myself, years ago, I don't remember who it was that I was listening to or watching, but they were like, you can feel good about what you're doing, and everybody has that thing or things that they're good at, and you can, if you want, go down the road to make money or to not. Uh, but it can be your thing and my thing. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be, I'll say, like the man's thing, like a
Yeah.
business or a company. You know what I mean? Like it's like, hey, come work for me and work on my mission. It's like I did that for a lot for many years, and that's one of the things that like I've found through my therapy and medication and my psychiatrist. It's like this is like what you're called to do, because that was the thing when I came out of the hospital. I'm like, well, what am I here uh, left to live here for? Like really, like what's and I got in my life, and I've been transitory at times, and not been the best person that is always going to church and that, um, but there's always that higher power where I'm like, why are you leaving Justin on Earth? Like all these different things happen, and like why are you leaving him here to do what? And to your point, to
Yeah.
look at a camera and share and talk about life. Uh, and I just, I guess, put my head down, and then next thing I know, not that numbers really matter, but I never thought I'd ever get 500 episodes. I never thought uh, people, to your point, people reach out and that you'd least expect, and then they would tell you, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, you really? Like, you have a family, and then, like, oh, you're, um, this type of person or that type of person. Heck, I'll go and our neighbor, we moved in a few years ago, and he's a biker guy. He's got the Harley bikes and the big truck and everything, and we would pass each other coming and going, and like, hey, how you doing? And like I'm not I'm like that introvert, which I thought I was an extrovert because I like talking to a camera. But then my psychiatrist is like, no, Justin, like, what do you like to do like when you're not doing that? And I was like, oh yeah, like I like to kind of be in my cocoon,
Yeah.
and I was like, yeah. So the guy, he's living, and I'm just like, I'm not very talkative outside of the camera, so I'm just kind of doing my thing. He's doing his thing, and I had our dog out outside doing her business and in the front yard, and he came over. I forget, it was just like 3 or 4 weeks ago. And he's just like, and I had no idea, like, as my back was faced to him. And he came up, he's just like, hey man, I, I've been a bad neighbor. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he goes, like when you guys moved in, like I was just going through like a lot of the personal things and a lot of close people that passed. Um, and we should be able to wave or at least just say, hey, how's it going? And he goes, I like to, I have a smoker, so I like to do barbecue, and well, I'm doing ribs, would you like some? And anyway, so we're just like conversing, and he told me, he said it was his uh his pastor that challenged him to come and just come right up and just start a conversation. And I was just like, man, like I don't know if I could do that. And it was just going on and on about his life and his background, and I'm doing the same. And it's just so. And he remembered things because I used to have magnets on my car with voices for voices, and then through the weather elements and everything, like they just didn't become very good magnets anymore. And that was like months ago, if not even a year ago. And he brings that up. He goes, I saw you had those on your car. Like did the magnet stop working? And I'm like, how do,
You
I
never
mean,
know who's
you kind
watching.
like, yeah, you want people to notice it, but like, it's like he remembers this, and that's the thing he kind of associated with. And then we just started bonding. I'm like, man, like, yeah, like we can wave. I was like, I'm an internal kind of person too, but yeah, yeah, we can wave. And he came over with ribs, and I was just like, it was just one of the things. You're like, all right. Like there's a reason, maybe he was going through some things, and he he was watching or listening to the show, or he found a guest. And because for him to bring that up, I'm like, for him to remember that all these months ago, like, and I usually have, like a branded shirt on that says Voices are for Voices. And so he's seen me a lot in the branded clothing. And I'm sitting there kind of wondering, as you and I are talking, if he is one of the people that I have reached, and he's next
Most
door to
likely probably
me.
Googled that.
Yeah, and I had like no idea, and he didn't tell me that. To your point, it's like a lot of people don't. It's the ones that they keep it quiet because they're just like, oh wow, like he said this or she said that, and that that's just, I mean, anyways, I'm doing a lot of
I
talking,
completely
but
understand it. Like,
it's,
so
yeah,
you
go
mentioned
ahead.
so many things that I want to touch in on.
Go
So the
ahead.
first one is like how when you're at your lowest, you need to have some kind of higher power.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't have to be, it doesn't even have to be one that makes sense to other people. Because
correct.
when I talk about my relationship with God, people often think I'm talking about a religion
Yeah.
or a specific path or any of that. It's a very unique thing.
Hmm.
Especially since I reference the Bible so much, they think that I'm Christian, but I'm not. I'm just a guy who happened to learn from a book.
Yeah.
And the two greatest commandments, well, there's so many things in there. Firstly, people overlook the part about Jesus riding in on a donkey.
Mm.
So he could have rode in on a beautiful, elegant horse with staples and chariots and gold like trim and everything. He rode a donkey with no
Yeah.
saddle and a bag over his shoulder. Like you know how in a cartoon they draw homeless people with like the stick bag?
Oh yeah.
That's how the literal God in the flesh went from town to town. He walked and rode a donkey. He could have teleported if he wanted to. He chose
Yeah.
to walk and ride a donkey. The reason why is because I'm no better than you. We are connected. And he never went around boasting and arrogant and putting himself on a pedestal. He
Mm.
simply said, I am who I am, and I'm here to show you who you are. Like, hey, all of that stuff that you did, Paul, which was one of his greatest disciples, was a murderer,
Hmm.
a literal murderer. And when he was at a well and he's talking to this lady, and everyone comes along and says, hey, Jesus, don't you know that she's a prostitute? And don't you know this? And don't you know that? And this? And look at what she did. And look how bad she is and how terrible she is. And mind you, this lady's sad and she's crying because, this is true. Like, this is what she was doing. And he said, well, okay, so whoever here has never sinned, you've never done anything wrong. You've never lied, you've never cheated, you've never stole, you've never been jealous, you've never got angry, you've never hurt anyone, you've done nothing. You throw the first stone. And no one did because none of us are perfect. None of us are.
Yeah. Okay.
And even to that point, Jesus himself got angry at times. He went in churches flipping over tables. He went in there whipping people because they were selling chickens. He did things that were quote unquote not the holiest. And the point is, none of us are perfect, not even Jesus. And a lot of people can get offended by that. But when you sit down and you properly read through the Bible and you look at his life, you see that he wasn't even perfect. Like,
Mm-mm.
if you held him to the perfect standard, that wouldn't even apply. Because you could say that going inside of a church, well, it wasn't even a technically a church because churches only existed after his death,
Mm-hmm.
but a temple and flipping over a table because you're angry, that's not good. But they left it in there because he isn't meant to be perfect. He's just an example of here is a way to walk in your path. He also went into town and said, hey, is it not written in your law that ye are gods? Lowercase g, it's not to say that, you're all high and mighty and wonderful and powerful, but you're made in the image of a divine creator. So, as the child of a divine creator, it is your job to go out there and express your gifts because, a man's gift makes room for him and places him among great men. So, when you figure out your gift and you take that and you apply it, whether that gift is, because when people think your gift, the first thing their mind runs to is, but I'm not a pastor.
Right.
I'm not a rabbi. I'm not an imam. Well, Moses had a speech impediment, yet he went out and freed all the slaves. So it's not even that you have to be perfect. But
Mm.
I don't have some magical and great skill. I'm not Tony Robbins.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
but you're a really good cook. You need to go open up a restaurant with that. But I'm not Gordon Ramsay. You don't have to be Gordon Ramsay. You just have to be the lady with the food truck who sells platters out of her house. I know a lady who used to do that. Well, she still does. I haven't talked to her in like years, but she
Mm-hmm.
went from selling food platters out of her home, and people would come to her house and
Mm-hmm.
pick up the food. And then she went to like a little food truck on the side of the street. And then she went to a like actual storefront.
Okay.
There's a lady by my house who she has a van. It's like a little food van, and she sells smoothies. She has
Oh,
been there for 4 years.
I
I
would
met
go for one,
her
man.
daughters. I've met her mother-in-law. I've met her
Mm,
mom. It's a family-owned smoothie shop on
mm,
the side of the road. So your gift could be something that is so seemingly simple to you.
mm,
Like the guy who built my website. He
mm.
lives over in India. And this guy like computers and software systems and SEO optimization, all that type of stuff, that is basic information to him.
Mm.
He talks to you about it like it's just common knowledge because that's his gift. And
Yeah.
we were on a call earlier and I was talking to him because he was helping me with like setting up some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And he told me that he just got a job working for the not it's like a subsidiary of SpaceX.
Okay.
So he's helping them with like IT services for these billion-dollar corporations, and the man just living his best life, all
Wow.
because he took his gift. And when we feel like, okay, Lawrence, that sounds so great and inspirational, but look at what I've done. I've gone too far. I've done this. I've cheated. I've lied. I've stole. I was a drug addict. I was this. I was that. Okay, again, back to my point. Paul
Mm-hmm.
was a murderer. I mean, as long as you haven't murdered people, then you're not that far gone. And even if you are, there are pastors who used to be prisoners and in prison they, got their life together, went out and started helping the community. There are people who used to be thieves and crooks and backstabbers and liars and cheaters and manipulators who
Mm.
said, okay, I saw my dirt. I did that. I owned up to that. But now I'm going to be renewed. And this is one of the things that, we all have to remind ourselves of because it's really easy to get in our own head and, like you said earlier, create a list of all of our shames and all of our wrongs. But if we're so focused on my wrongs, we lose sight of what did I do right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not the devil in the flesh. I haven't committed atrocities. So I can get better if I simply am willing to do the work and believe that it's possible. Maybe I can't do it on my own.
Yeah.
That's why in like Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, the I think it's step number two is after they have you admit you're an addict, they
Hmm.
have you commit to a higher power of whatever choice you want. It
Mm.
could be aliens for all they care.
Yeah.
You just have to believe that I can't do it on my own because if I could, I would not be here. So I have to admit that. I have to believe that there is some higher, magical, wonderful, divine power that will bless me with inhuman strength to overcome this addiction. And even when you feel like, Lawrence, I'm too far gone, I can't do anything, I suck. Well, pick a higher power, whichever one you want. There's like a I don't know, there's maybe like 20,000 religions. Hinduism has like 200 gods by itself. Just pick one or
Hmm.
many or none, or for all I care, you could believe in the moon and stars and the trees,
Hmm.
and that can be your God, and that helps you to keep yourself alive. I just went on I
No,
just
no,
get
it's great. Keep going. Keep going. No, I got you.
I just give a whole TED talk.
Yeah. 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 This is great. This is exactly what I was. Yeah.
I mean, a lot
This.
of people need to hear this stuff because unfortunately, the world will really tell you about everything you don't have and everything that you're bad and you're not like if you don't look this way or you don't have this car or this house or this money or this job or this degree or this thing, then you're not enough. Well,
True.
I mean, it's that's just someone's opinion of you. Like, because really, at some point, all of us are going to die. Like
Yeah.
at some point, it's inevitable. Even that you ever I can't remember his name, but there's this guy who's like 40 something and he's obsessed with like biohacking and trying to make himself live forever. And he got like blood transfusions from his 17-year-old son. You ever heard of that guy?
It sounds familiar.
He takes like 200 different supplements every morning.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
I recently found out that he actually just got diagnosed with a it's an incurable medical condition where
Oh.
your stomach lining eats itself. And
Oh.
what happens is like your stomach acid basically rots you from the inside out, and
Okay.
there's nothing you can do about it. And he got it because of all the blood transfusions.
Oh my.
So even him, even if you dedicate millions of dollars and every conceivable method under the sun, we all die someday. And when you're on your deathbed, you don't care about how much money you have.
Mm.
You don't care about how shiny your belt is. You don't care about how many bedrooms your house has. You care about, did I live my life? Did I enjoy it? Did I have fun? Did I treat people well? Like when I get buried, are people going to say, he was a great guy. Like, he had 25 cars and 8 mega mansions and he had a super yacht and he bought a private island and he did this and he did that.
Mm.
Or are you going to be somebody who, my grandpa, he passed away when I was like, I think 10. And
Mm,
at his funeral, that eulogy was beautiful.
mm,
He raised 13 children off one salary, 13 of them off one salary. He was a great father. He did a lot of great things, having to raise 13 kids.
yeah.
During the 60s up until his most recent one was born in 2000.
Okay.
So like we're talking about raising kids during the end of segregation
Hmm.
and during massive changes in society and laws and rules and regulations and all these things. And funny enough, I actually gave a speech at his funeral and the pastor started crying. So like
Oh,
I don't know, this was just like destined to be my path.
yeah. Oh,
Like
for
I guess
sure.
I
That
believe
and
God
that,
gives signs and lets you know like a constant little nudging of, hey, here's what I want you to do.
yeah.
And it's not something that you choose. It's sort of like it presents itself to you, and then you make the decision to commit to that.
Mm,
And that's where like the kingdom of God that every church and the Bible is talking about, it ain't some far off, distant fantasy land in the clouds. It's like heaven on earth, literally.
yeah.
It's like I've had so many times recently where like the bank account has been on $3
Hmm.
and rent is due in 5 days. And I need $600
Oh,
or I'm getting kicked out.
yeah.
So, well, they weren't going to evict me from my office building, but they were going to like they were going to put some
Yeah.
penalties.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be pleasant.
Somehow, some way, the money just shows up. It's like God is like, okay, you're going to commit to what I say. Let me bless you. Let me send you a $500 check in the mail. I've had it happen,
Mm,
and the people I meet, the connection that happen, and not just with these podcasts, but
yeah.
going to schools and organizations and just letting my gift flow has opened the doors. It's like the Bible describes it as the land of overflowing milk and honey. It's not about the money that you get from it. It's not
No.
even just about the claps and the applause and the cheering. It's about the knowing that like I'm actually helping these people.
Yeah. And that's it. And that's the wild thing is growing up, at least for me, we have these, like wild dreams and expectations. Like I want to be an astronaut. For me, it's like I wanted to be an astronaut. And then when it comes down to it, like you said, there's different signs that they present themselves. And it's at those times where we make a decision and uh to like, okay, yeah, we're gonna go forward with this or not. And then it might present itself again in a year or 6 months or 6 hours or 6 minutes. And that's what I found too, where it's kind of like, well, what do you want me to do? Like what do you want me to do since I'm, still here on Earth? Uh and then it's just crazy because it, it doesn't have to be some earth-shattering thing. I mean, it can be. I mean, for some people, like it can be uh like this breakthrough, but like you said, like you just kind of, I don't want to say like you just ease into it, but you kind of do that to kind of validate like what you're doing. Like, okay, like I saw this sign. and I got to, people were cheering and that, but it actually made me feel good too. It
Yeah,
wasn't just like, oh yeah, like I'm doing it because people are clapping or, they want a picture with me or
yeah,
whatever it may be. I want to be on the show or different things. It's like, you know what? Like, it's that one of my, I mean, I know music's huge, a huge part of my life and many people. And one of I'll say like old school band, given in the 90s, Third Eye Blind had a song called Jumper, and is that very thing we were talking about at the beginning about, yeah, we might not help all 500 attendees, but there might be that one person that is literally ready, or maybe they're already on that ledge, and or they're on that bridge, or whatever. And to everybody watching and listening, we're not condoning any of this. This is just merely for example symbolism. So we want to definitely make sure we share that as we move forward with it. Um, and it's like, you know what? To know that I help one person, even if that's the only person, if that's the only person that's ever come up to me or has ever commented or has ever emailed or whatever method, then we've done our job. We've I mean, doesn't mean I mean, we
yeah,
could stop if we want, but to know that we have like one person, I look back at growing up and I'm like, help others? No, I want to help me. I want to help me get to a certain place. And I've heard it said, and I mean, and it's so true, and it's exactly what you said. You can't, we're not getting out of life alive. None of us are. They
yeah,
say like two things like our death and taxes is what's going to happen to everybody at some point. Uh, and we can't take it with us. People even say like, have you ever been to, let me just using like Elvis as an example. Ever been to Graceland? Like, and I haven't. And, and people have said like, did you notice anything missing there?
yeah.
Like I mean, I never went. I'm like watching a video on it and people talking and they're like, I don't know. I don't think anything was missing. And they're like, did you see Elvis there? Is Elvis still alive? All his stuff's there. There's his, his mansions, his whatever, his things. But there's not a U-Haul, leaving like what like with the coffin and that and that's the thing that you were just mentioning where on our deathbed we're gonna look back and go like I want to be known as somebody that at least tried to help
Yeah.
people.
And, and then
Sometimes
too,
we
you have
do,
to,
sometimes we don't.
and then too, you have to learn to like, most importantly, connect with yourself because when you were
Mm,
saying like not doing it for the applause and cheers and people wanting to be on the show, that's what happens after the fact. Like after you've already
oh,
started, after you built momentum, after you probably made like 30, 40, 50 episodes with 3 views and no comments,
yeah,
then people want to be on the show. They
you know
they
it.
they nobody like nobody comes knocking and cheering before you do the thing.
No.
So like the reason why you start is because there was some motivation to do it. Whether the motivation at first might have just purely been, I want money. That's an
Mm,
okay motivation, like understandable.
mhm.
But over time, like when the money doesn't show up immediately and you still keep showing up, now there's a deeper why to it. Like, I'm doing this because I want to leave a mark of humanity. I'm doing this because I don't want people to feel how I did. I'm
Yeah.
doing this because I want people to know that they're loved or I want to give back to the children in poverty, or I want to help my neighborhood, or whatever the person's reason is.
Hmm.
So, in that process, you have to get to know yourself and learn to fall in love with the person in the mirror. Like, I'm
Mm.
not perfect, but I'm not that terrible. Like, I'm a pretty good guy.
Yeah.
Like, so you have to learn to first love yourself, and then, like your neighbor mentioned, like learn to be a good neighbor.
Mm.
Because like the reason why the two greatest commandments were love God with all your heart and put nothing above it, and love your brother like you love yourself, is so that you don't make money your God. You don't make things your God. You don't make other people your God. You don't make anyone or anything else your God. You have like some higher power. You love that with all your heart. And then you love your brother and sister like you love yourself. But to love your brother and love your sister like you love yourself requires you to love yourself.
Yeah, man.
So it's like, so really, it's three in one. You love God, you love other people, and you love you. So by connecting with like yourself, and that means connecting with all the good and all the bad,
Yeah.
the shame and the good, the stuff I don't want to talk about and the stuff I do, and learning to love yourself despite all of that. Now you can give that to the world. You
Mm.
can give them what you wish you had. And we can look at people who, on the surface, it looks like they got it all. Like, wow, they got the money, they got the car, they got the husband, they got the wife, they're beautiful or handsome, like they got it all. And then you find out that they die of like a drug overdose. That's what
Mm.
happened with Marilyn Monroe.
Oh yeah.
You would think world famous actress, most rated the most beautiful woman in the world at many points. Multi-million, well, she herself wasn't a multi-millionaire because at the time, women couldn't really have their own bank accounts. But
That's true.
essentially, she did have access to the money. It just wasn't in her name. But you guys get the point.
Yeah.
Legalities of women's rights back then aside, she had access to the money. And you'd think she's married, she has all this stuff. To the world, that's what it looks like. Behind closed doors, her husband was cheating. Somehow he was cheating on the most beautiful woman in the world. I don't know who he was cheating with, but
Mm.
he was doing it. And she felt like very isolated because the only reason, like she understood this as a child. The only reason people were so nice to her was because she was so attractive. She
Hmm.
grew up as an orphan. Marilyn Monroe wasn't even her name. That was like a alter ego she created.
Okay.
And at 13, she realized that, if I sway my hips a certain way, I can get these boys to give me their lunch.
Yeah.
And that's how she became like her career. So when we look at examples like her of people who seemingly have it all, but then you do a little research into them and you see what goes on behind closed doors, you realize that, everything that glitters isn't gold. We
Oh
can
no.
look at people such as the rapper Mac Miller, another drug
Mm.
overdose. Prince. Now, I don't
Prince.
remember if his was like, surgery and then one thing led to another and he end up on fentanyl, but that's how he ended up dying. He died of a fentanyl overdose.
Yeah.
Then you could look at people like there was a billionaire, I forgot his name. He was in like Pennsylvania somewhere. And this
Hmm.
guy just, leapt off a building. Billions of dollars, all this money, all these things, all the shiny clothes and the cars, but the dude was super depressed.
Uh,
Then you have like what then you have people who, I don't want to use the word like normal people, but you get what I
hmm.
mean. People who like your everyday Joe. You're walking on the street, the guy at the gas station. Just imagine him. You got a guy at the gas station.
Hmm.
He's got a family. He's posting pictures on Facebook. They're going to church every Sunday. His son is in baseball practice. His daughter is in ballet. The wife and three kids, and they got the dog and they got an SUV and oh my God, they just have it all. But behind closed doors, they have crippling credit card debt. His son is getting in trouble with the cops. His daughter is dating all these guys who are terrible for her. His
Mhm.
wife is cheating. He's overworked, and everyone looks at him like a wallet, and nobody respects him. And he goes to work, and his boss is disrespecting him. And you see how it's not what it appears.
Yes.
And that's the life of millions, possibly, I would argue, billions of people fit that description in some way or another. People only show you what they want you to see. So a big reason why I openly share, like, hey guys, I deal with this and I deal with that, and here are my problems, is so that people know I'm not perfect, you're not perfect, and because of that, we're able to genuinely have a conversation, and you know that this is real. Like, you go on Facebook and all you see is everyone has a perfect life.
Yeah.
Nobody got problems.
Mhm.
Nobody's kids act up in school.
Mhm.
Nobody's wife is cheating. Everybody got a perfect life. But when you get into the real world and you start having authentic, open conversations and you're willing to share what you went through, you'd be surprised at how many other people are like, dang, I thought I was the only one who had problems. Like, I thought I was the only one in the world who felt sad
Yeah.
because your mind starts playing tricks on you. It'll make you believe that you're the exception to 8 billion people in the world. Like you're the one and only person who feels shame. Nobody else has ever felt that emotion before. You're the one and only person who has done something they regret in a relationship. Nobody's done that before. You're the only one. And you get so wrapped up in your head where you're like, yeah, I'm the only one out of 8 billion. And I'm the only one who's ever felt this. And I'm the only one in the history of humanity. Like that's one of the ways I actually was able to improve my own mental health by
Mhm.
putting it into perspective that, like, nobody understands. Well, how many people are in the world? 8.8 billion. So what's the odds that every single last person in the entire world does not understand? Well,
Right.
Lawrence, when you put it like that, it actually puts into perspective that it's mathematically impossible for somebody to not understand.
Yeah.
Like, the odds of someone not understanding your problem, no matter how specific it is,
Yeah.
like, you could have the most extreme problem ever. Like, Lawrence, I am a war refugee, and I grew up in my entire family, like, they got blown up, and I had to run across the border, and I had to, like, hop on the back of a shipping container to make it to America, and I don't speak the language, and this happened and that happened, and I live under a bridge, and I collect trash in order to make enough food, in order to make enough money to afford ramen noodle packs, and I boil water in a metal can so that I don't starve.
Mm.
There's millions of people who that's their life story.
That
So,
is.
like, even if that is your life story, you're not the only one.
Mhm.
Yeah, Lawrence, but I grew up in severe poverty, and I grew up during segregation, and I'm a black woman, so I wasn't able to get a bank account, and the laws are against me. And I ran away at 13 years old because my family were abusing me, and I had a miscarriage at 15,
Mhm.
and I had to run away to a different state to get a job. That's the
Mhm.
life story of Oprah Winfrey.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
Oprah Winfrey, who was the first black female billionaire in America, had a miscarriage at 15 and she had to run away from home. Well,
Okay.
Lawrence, I'm a woman in a country that women are not allowed to get education in. And she was 11. When I was 11 years old, the Taliban came on the bus and shot me, and I
Mm.
survived. And I refused to give up, so I decided to keep advocating for girls' rights. That's the
Mm.
story of Malala Yousafzai.
Uh,
She's a women's education activist from Pakistan who
okay.
got shot when she was 9 years old because the government didn't want her to keep speaking out about that.
Mm.
You could find any example. Like in one of my books, I talked about this guy named trying to remember his name. It it just disappeared from my head. But
No worries.
he so he's an artist. Oh,
Okay.
Henry Salas. He's an
Okay.
artist. And the guy's paralyzed from the neck down. So he can only move his head. He holds pens in his mouth and makes photorealistic art. So even without hands or the ability to move or the ability to wash himself, this guy still found a way.
Wow.
So, or Paralympic swimmers, again, his name blanked from my head again, but it might come to me, it might not. But he's a Paralympic swimmer. No arms, no legs. He had like one little stump.
Mm.
He's a gold medalist swimmer, like
Wow.
four-time gold medal swimmer from Brazil, no arms, no legs. So when we think to ourselves that like nobody could understand me, no one understands my problems, I'm quite sure if you typed your problem into Google, you could find millions of people with that exact problem who succeeded. And the thing that when I tell people that they often counter with is, well, those people got lucky or they're different than me and they must have had some help that I didn't have. Or they must have had this, or they must have had that, or they must have had this, or they had that. Okay. So now that we got all that out the way, what do you have? Oh, well, I have Google, I have friends and family, I have a school counselor, and I'm just naming like really basic generic things.
Mm.
I have running water and food. It might not be the best, but I'm not starving. I
Mm.
have this, I have that, I have this, I have that, I have this, I have that. Okay, now find someone who didn't have all of that and had your problem and had it worse and had more pressure and was still able to do it. Now, don't compare yourself to them. Like, this isn't to compare,
Yeah.
it's simply to give yourself undeniable fact that if they could do it, so can I. Maybe it won't be easy. Maybe
Mm.
I might not become a gold medalist swimmer. Maybe I might not become a billionaire or I might not become the next Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos and create a $20 billion company, but I can at least sell this book on Amazon.
Mm.
I might not become, Tony Robbins doing $300,000 coaching fees and coaching presidents and selling out Super Bowl stadiums, but I could sell out my local church. I could go down to the YMCA. I could go down and do like an online event or something. Like I could hop behind Zoom and you realize that no matter where you are, you just take what you got. And even if you only got like two sticks, just rub them together, get a
Mm.
spark going, and you can make a fire.
Oh, that's so true. It is. You got it. You just got to get started. It's like that, the gym membership, the New Year's resolution. Like, all right, I'm gonna go gym and I'm gonna get in shape and and that it's uh getting started is half the battle. Then like once you're actually doing it, then it's like exactly. I don't care if there's one person here watching, listening, or a million or a billion. Like I'm still gonna give the I'm gonna put the preparation in no matter how many people are watching and listening, even if I'm the one person and I'm the one to speak, Like, all right, Justin, I learned something from you today. And and once you do that, and you find out, if all you got to do is try. I mean, we just never know like what we're capable of. Uh, I'm glad you went through those examples, especially the painter. It's so true. It's making the best use of what we have, and I think sometimes we that have working arms and legs and fingers and toes and all that, like we I know I do. Yeah, take things for granted like that, or unless we're in that spot, it's like, oh man, look at all those other people. Like, why can't I be one of them? Why am I the one that I'm a quadriplegic? Like, why me? Like, what am I gonna do in life? Uh,
Yeah. And you
yeah.
forget how you're way more blessed than you think you are. Like statistically, okay, I want to see if like you're able to guess this. How much money per year would you have to make to be in the top 5% of worldwide income?
Oh. Is that like some like 30,000 or
Yeah,
something?
30,000 puts you like higher than the top 10%
Yeah,
actually.
that's how, yeah.
If you make if you make 25, oh, if you make 13, you're in the
Oh, wow.
top 50 worldwide.
Worldwide. Yeah.
So like most people, like the majority of the world, lives on less than the equivalent of $2.50 a day.
Wow.
And that's not just split between like one person. We're talking about household income.
Yeah, households. Yeah.
So like think about things that you would consider to be, and not even just like talking about third world countries. When we start talking about places like Flint, Michigan, they still
Mm,
don't have clean water.
mm-mm.
And it's been like a decade.
Yeah.
Or when you think about places like Appalachia, like people living in those mountain communities, or people who live in really tiny towns where there's no job opportunities, you kind of take it for granted that you have that even though you might not want to, you have the option to go work at McDonald's. The
Mm-hmm.
option is there. That's not to say you'll get hired immediately, but it's there if you ask. So
Mm.
the little things like, I don't live in a war zone.
Yes.
I don't have bullet holes in my windows. I don't have anyone who's actively looking to hurt me.
Mm-hmm.
I have a bike. Well, I don't personally have a bike, but I'm just using this as an
Yeah.
example.
Yeah.
Like the guy on a bike is comparing himself to the guy in the Toyota. The guy in the
Mm,
Toyota is comparing himself to the guy in the Lamborghini. The guy in
mm,
the Lamborghini is comparing himself to the guy with the jet. And the
mm,
guy with the jet is comparing himself to the guy with the rocket ship.
mm.
But if they just looked at, look how far I've come. I used to be the guy walking to work. I used to be the guy with no legs. I used to be the guy who couldn't get out of bed. So like we take we take it for granted that we're not bedridden.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about what life would be like if you were bedridden. That
Right.
would probably suck a
Yeah.
lot. And I don't mean like you're temporarily bedridden where like you need somebody to help you get up and like, get your walker like when people are 85. I'm talking about like you are full medically paralyzed, neck down, bedridden,
Mm.
nothing you can do. Like that that you take for granted the fact that you can stand.
Yeah.
Like the guy Ronnie Coleman, he was like a huge bodybuilder back in the 90s and whatnot. The
Okay.
guy can't stand. because his muscles and his bones have deteriorated from all that steroid use.
Oh,
Like he can stand sorta. He's like
okay.
a lawn chair that like folds in on itself all the time.
Mm,
And the point is that even basic things, when you remind yourself that I can do this, you realize that my life is actually better than I think it is.
yeah.
And yeah, when life genuinely sucks, like when life is genuinely knocking you down, like your dog died, your house burnt down, your wife left, you took the kids, cry about it. It's okay to cry about it.
Yes.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is feel it, cry, scream, be angry about it in a healthy way, of course, but allow yourself to feel those emotions and navigate through it. So it's not that we have to just be all rainbows and sunshine and
Mm,
cupcakes all day. No, feel that too. But also, when life sucks, admit that, hey, I'm in a tough period. Feel it, embrace it, but navigate through it through things like, maybe you go for a walk, or you go meditate, or you journal, or you go pray, or therapy, or even something as seemingly basic as just sitting there and crying.
mm-hmm.
Sometimes you just need to cry and you'll realize like after you get those tears out, okay, I felt that. Now, what can I do to solve this problem? And it's like you just take it one day at a time, as cliche as it sounds. It's the
Mm-hmm.
truth. We all live one day at a time, but if you keep comparing what I have versus what you think you don't have, you never really are living. You're just existing, and
Yeah.
that's not something you want to do. Once you live and you feel what it is to be alive, Nicki Minaj said in one of her songs, "To live doesn't mean you're alive," and I didn't know what she meant
Oh.
by that for so long,
Mm-hmm.
but one day it hit me that like just to live, like just to wake up and breathe and go to work and pay taxes and die. That isn't being alive. That's just living. When you're alive, it's like I I want to get out of bed and hop behind this camera.
Yeah.
And it's not that like, oh, I have to do it. No, I get to do it.
Yeah.
I get to pay my rent. I get to pay my taxes.
Mm-hmm.
I get to. And you become grateful for the stuff that previously you didn't enjoy. But you realize that it's a privilege to do certain things that you don't enjoy because
Mm-hmm.
you don't like paying your rent. But the fact that you get to means that I'm in a financial position where I can afford housing and shelter. And it's you should be grateful to pay your rent. I hope that
Right.
that point made sense.
Yeah, maybe, yeah, complete sense. Yeah, I mean, yeah, because that means we're doing something, or there's we're doing something because we have rent. And if we're not doing something, then we're we might not have rent, might be in a different position. Um, how about closing us out if you don't mind? The brand pitch, the books, let's list them out, and then you can
Lord, I
obviously
mean,
send over to me for the
yeah,
description.
over this last hour and a half, they don't probably they're like, I want whatever this guy got.
Yeah,
Like whatever he's got, it must be working.
yeah. That's why
So
I'm like, no, this is keep going. This is
yeah, like
fantastic.
they're like whatever this guy's doing, it gotta work. I want my kid to whatever books and products he got, come on, come shop.
Absolutely.
So my social media is like my Instagram and TikTok.
Hmm.
Lawrence C. Empowers. That's where I put all my videos and content and YouTube, all the exact same thing. Lawrence C. Empowers.
Okay.
Now, my website where I have my books, products, I do one-on-one coaching for teens and young adults. You can find all of that on lawrencecharris.com. And for speaking engagements, so if
Mhm.
you want me to come down to your organization, your church, your YMCA, whatever you got, as long as it's in America,
Yeah.
it's going to be Lawrence at lawrencecharris.com is my email address. So you
Okay.
can just email me, or if it's more convenient for you, you can book a meeting with me using the button on my website that, says book me, and
Booking.
just
Yeah.
fill out those questions. That way, when we get on the call, I can actually know what it is you want, what you're looking for, give you the price, and move forward from there. And just as a reminder before we close out,
Please
that
do.
free ebook is in the link below. It's going to take to a link where you just, leave a testimonial of, hey, what you think of my podcast interview. You leave a little review and it automatically sends you the free ebook.
Oh, fantastic. Wow. Thank you so much for, after the long day of being in front of the camera and shows and still having the energy now. It's been it's a really awesome time for me because uh, I like to listen more than I think I do, where it's like, oh my gosh, like I feel like I learned something new every day, and to be around like you have like infectious energy, like in a good way.
Thank you.
Like yeah, like so many of your examples and make so much sense and are so uh e at least for me easy to comprehend. And I think like you said, like do I just want to exist or do I want to live? Is really what it comes down to. If I want to live, let's let's find out that higher power, who or what or whatever it is, and when you see signs, don't be afraid to go down there. Just because you, not you, Lord, but
Yeah.
their viewers and listeners, just because it may seem like it's a path not very often traveled, doesn't mean you can't do it. And actually, and it doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. It might actually mean that you probably want to at least take a look and see how it goes. And uh, again, I have I've learned over the years, uh, whatever when you're passionate about something or some things, you kind of do those until you kind of wear them out in a way. And if there still ends up being people watching shows, listening to shows, donating, whatever, buying books, speaking engagements, if things like that are still happening, that means you're doing a good job. And that's what I've learned. And it's not going to happen every single day. And that's why I think some people, and including myself, where sometimes we think that, well, it's got to happen every single day. Like, well, I got to be, filming, 8 hours a day. It's not that. I think that part is a little bit hard because it's like, all right, there might be like some days of the week where there's not a ton going on. Well, then you can create, you can think, you can get to that spot where it's like, is there anything additionally I want to do? Or I can polish up, or like you mentioned, you were talking to uh, your web engineer about some updates. Reach out and talk to the people and say, is there anything that I'm missing that I can do a little bit better? And trust me, Lawrence and I, we don't have all the answers, but what we do have are our experiences, and you have an experience too, whether you're watching, listening, whether you're here in the United States or across the world. And just so grateful to have Lawrence C. Harris with us on this show. I was so excited. I wanted to get a book today. Um, and so I'm so glad we're able to do that. And thank you so much for your time. I really value, I know how days can kind of never end, but then it's in a good way. And I really appreciate your time, your energy, you helping people. It's people like you that the world needs more of. Just
That is a beautiful compliment. Thank you.
oh, absolutely. You're welcome. I'm just going off the cuff how like we just talked about how we're feeling and emotions. And yeah, it's when we feel things, it's it 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 takes things and makes them a little bit calmer, because if we're going through a tough time, but we feel it, and maybe we do cry, or we whatever we do, it takes that stress level down just a teeny bit. And if you take a teeny bit of that stress down, that means you got a teeny bit more of space in our brain to do some of the things additionally that we want to do over the course of life. So I know I'm blessed to have the opportunity to have you on the show, that you reached out to me. I thank you for the reminder, because I was like, I I know I know there's a guest that reached out to me, and you know how email gets. It's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah,
And then
you
if
could.
you wouldn't have sent that, I'd have been like miss out on like one of the best shows, and just uh, the best humans to like just have a conversation, like no canned questions, just going through life and talking about being human. So thank you so much, Lawrence, for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And thanks to Lucy, our dog, that likes to join in from time to time, don't you? Yeah, you can always tell when Daddy's on the show and not just practicing or doing something that's not recording. Um, and so yeah, we have a little bit of everything. We got the dog, we got the camera, we got everything. But that's life. And so we uh that's just that's how I prefer it, because people have people are dealing with life too. So if they got a dog and they're jumping up, it's like a big deal. Like she just wants to hang out and uh and it's okay that everything doesn't ha always have to be polished up so so shiny. And thank you again, our viewers, our listeners, wherever you may be. Please, please, please check out Lawrence Sierra's, check out his books, check out his speeches, add him on LinkedIn as connection, go to his social media and follow. That's one thing that over the course of the days with the different accounts is to make sure I'm following you on everything we have. And uh, just man, you're not, and I'm just saying this. I mean, I just met you today, but I mean, you're not gonna find uh, somebody that is gonna be more transparent and just talking about real life than Lawrence. So check him out, find his works, buy his books, his content. It's priceless, and we will see you on another episode of the Voices for Voices TV show and podcast. Thank you
Have a
so
great day.
much and have a great day. We'll see you next time, everybody.